The new images of 3I Atlas seem to show the tail is back. What is the significance? What do you make of this?
Well, actually, we don't just see a tail. In the latest images, we see all the 7 jets coming from the central object, some of them towards the sun, some of them away from the sun. The last time we checked, it has a rotation period of only 16 hours. The length of these jets is 1 million kilometers.
By now, 3I Atlas has given us plenty of weirdness, 11 anomalies, each stranger than the last. But the 12th one? That's the moment the room went silent, because the latest images revealed jets stretching 1 million kilometers that refuse to bend. They don't curve with the rotation. They don't smear. They don't spiral. They just hold their direction perfectly, as if the object underneath them isn't spinning at all. Fresh images captured in early November by astrophotographers across the globe show structures that violate a fundamental rule of rotating objects in space. And this isn't a minor discrepancy that can be explained away with a footnote. This is the 12th major anomaly in a growing list that's making some of the world's most skeptical scientists pause and wonder if we're looking at something nature didn't design. So, what could possibly explain this? The answer starts with color temperature. And if you believe discovery begins where people think, its certainty ends, hit subscribe. That's where our universe gets interesting. Because this mystery is just beginning. Let me show you what I mean. Between November 8th and 9th, multiple teams captured deep stack exposures of 3I Atlas. These weren't casual snapshots. We're talking about 5 separate 3-minute exposures, combined and processed through different telescope systems, creating some of the clearest views we've ever had of an interstellar object. What they revealed were jets. Brilliant, needle-thin streams of material shooting away from the nucleus, extending across distances so vast that light itself takes over 3 seconds to cross them. We're talking about structures stretching more than 1 million kilometers into space. But here's where it gets strange. These jets are perfectly straight, not curved, not spiraling, not blurred. Straight as a laser beam cutting through the darkness. Now, if you've ever watched a garden sprinkler spin on a summer afternoon, you understand rotational geometry. The water doesn't shoot out in straight lines. It creates arcs, spirals, patterns that trace the rotation of the source. That's basic physics. That's what happens when something spins and ejects material simultaneously. 3I Atlas rotates once every 16.16 hours. We know this from measurements taken months ago. And it's ejecting gas and dust at approximately 400 meters per second, the typical speed for thermal sublimation from a comet's surface. Do the math with me for a moment. At 400 meters per second, material takes roughly 1 month to travel 1 million kilometers. During that month, 3I Atlas completes 45 full rotations, 45 complete spins, which means those jets should show 45 visible spirals, 45 curves, 45 signatures of that rotating source beneath. Instead, we see 0 deviation, absolute linearity. Not a single degree of curl or wobble across the entire 1 million kilometer length. Something is keeping those jets pointed in the process, same direction despite the object spinning beneath them almost 50 times. And in normal cometary physics, that simply doesn't happen. Before we go anywhere uncomfortable, let's walk through every reasonable explanation, because that's where science always begins, with the ordinary before considering the extraordinary. Theory 1. The rotation slowed down. Maybe the spin rate has changed since our July measurements. Outgassing can create torques that alter a comet's rotation. It happens. Comets can speed up or slow down. But here's the problem. When comets outgas violently as 3I Atlas clearly is, they almost always spin up, not down. The jets act like tiny rocket thrusters, accelerating the rotation. The massive energetic plumes we're seeing from this object should be making it spin faster, not slower. And even if some bizarre configuration caused it to break, the deceleration would have to be so perfectly tuned, so precisely calibrated to eliminate all spiral patterns that it starts feeling less like coincidence and more like engineering. Theory 2. Sunlight triggers jets, only at specific angles. Perhaps the nucleus has deep valleys, shadowed craters, pockets of ice buried beneath the surface. Only when the sun hits them at exactly the right angle during each rotation does the ice vaporize, creating a brief pulse of activity. This is actually possible. Some comets do behave this way. But if this were happening, we'd see something specific in the images. The jet wouldn't be continuous. It would look like a string of beads, individual puffs spaced along the trail at regular intervals. Each puff representing one rotation, one moment when sunlight struck that hidden ice pocket. The spacing between these puffs would be roughly 23,000 kilometers, based on the rotation period and gas velocity. Over a million-kilometer jet, we'd count about 43 distinct puffs. The images show none of this. The jets are smooth, continuous, unbroken streams. No puffs, no gaps, no regular spacing, just constant flow. Theory 3. Fragmentation, debris. Maybe we're not looking at active jets at all. Maybe what we're seeing are the leftover trails from a violent breakup event. Vapor trails from fragments that were ejected near the sun and are now coasting through space in straight lines, aligned with their original ejection vectors. Fragmentation could produce straight structures. It could explain long-lasting trails. But there's a timing problem. Images from November 11th, captured by independent observers, still show the nucleus as a single, intact object. Not a dispersed cloud of fragments, not a shattered remnant, a coherent body. Either the breakup happened after November 11th, which leaves us with an impossibly short time frame for those jets to extend 1,000,000 kilometers, or this explanation simply doesn't fit the timeline. And even if fragments were responsible, we'd still need to explain why the jets point in multiple specific directions, all maintaining their orientation, all perfectly stable despite the parent body rotating beneath them. I need to be extraordinarily careful with my words here, because what I'm about to describe is not a claim. It's an observation, a comparison, a pattern match. Jets that maintain directional stability despite the rotation of their source are consistent with controlled ejection mechanisms. The kind we use on spacecraft for attitude control, reaction control systems, thrusters designed specifically to counteract spin, stabilize orientation, maintain precise bearing. I am not suggesting an alien spacecraft is orbiting the sun. Let me be crystal clear about that. Science doesn't make those kinds of leaps from a single piece of data. But I am saying that what we're observing looks more similar to thruster behavior than comet behavior. Strong, continuous mass flux, maintaining orientation regardless of rotation, jet angles that don't align with natural solar heating patterns, multi-directional stability, with no smearing across million-kilometer distances. All of this, from a pure engineering perspective, fits the template of deliberate control better than the template of natural sublimation. In spacecraft design, thrusters fire in specific directions to produce specific results. They don't care if the spacecraft is spinning. Their job is to overcome that spin, to maintain or change orientation despite it. 3i Atlas appears to be doing exactly that. This is not proof of technology. I want to emphasize that as strongly as possible, but it is data that resembles intention more than accident. And in science, when something looks deliberate, we don't dismiss it because it makes us uncomfortable. We investigate it. Here's what makes this jet anomaly particularly disturbing. It's not alone. It's anomaly number 12 on a list that keeps getting longer, and each item on that list makes the previous ones harder to ignore. Let me walk you through them quickly. A retrograde orbital path that aligns with planetary positions with a calculated 0.2% probability. A sunward jet, an anti-tail, observed consistently across multiple months. A mass far larger than Oumuamua, yet moving even faster through the inner solar system. An arrival time perfectly positioned for close flybys of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. A nickel-rich gas composition resembling industrial alloys more than natural comet chemistry. Extreme water depletion, just 4% by volume, virtually unheard of for comets. Polarization measurements showing negative values unlike any known solar system comet. An origin direction that coincidentally overlaps with the famous 1977 WOW signal coordinates. A brightening rate that exceeded every comet model. A color bluer than the sun itself. The presence of both sunward and anti-solar jets simultaneously, which requires impossible surface area geometry. non-gravitational acceleration that would demand 13% mass loss, yet the object shows no fragmentation. And now, jets, maintaining perfect orientation across 1,000,000 kilometers despite 45 complete rotations. Any single one of these might be waved away as an outlier, a measurement error, a quirk of nature we haven't fully modeled yet. But 12 of them? 12 violations of expectation, all in the same object, all happening simultaneously. That's not a collection of coincidences, that's a pattern, and patterns demand explanations. The next month is critical. As 3I Atlas emerges from behind the Sun and Earth's telescopes regain clear viewing angles, we're going to get answers to very specific questions. Are the jets still there? Are they still straight? Have they curved? Have they widened? Have they changed direction? We'll get updated rotation measurements. If the spin rate has somehow changed dramatically, that might explain everything. If it hasn't, the mystery deepens. We'll get refined trajectory data. Any deviation from a purely gravitational path, any hint of non-natural acceleration, will be measured with unprecedented precision. We'll get spectral analysis of the jet velocities and composition. If the gas is moving faster than thermal sublimation allows, that's another data point. If it's moving slower, that's equally important. High-resolution imaging from amateur networks worldwide will show us whether the nucleus is fragmenting, whether new structures are appearing, whether the geometry is changing as it moves farther from the Sun, and we'll get continuous observations of jet behavior over weeks, watching for any evolution, any change in morphology that might fit a natural model we haven't considered yet. If those jets remain stable, directional, high velocity, multi-directional, and completely unaffected by rotation, then every natural explanation will struggle even harder. If instead we see fragmentation, spin changes, widening plumes, curving trails, then perhaps we'll find our ordinary answer. But until we measure the exact speed, composition, and mass, flux of those jets, the mystery remains open. People always want to know, are you saying it's aliens? And my answer is always the same. No, I'm saying we don't know. That's not evasion, that's science. We don't jump to conclusions. We don't fill gaps in knowledge with speculation. We follow evidence wherever it leads, even when it makes us uncomfortable. 3. I Atlas might be a fragmented comet, an ancient wanderer shedding material in ways we've simply never witnessed before. Nature is endlessly creative. The universe has surprised us countless times. Or it might be something else. Something that forces us to expand our understanding of what's possible, what exists in this galaxy beyond our small corner of space. We cannot choose the answer based on what we prefer to believe. We must let the data decide. And right now, the data is whispering something remarkable. Jets that extend 1,000,000 kilometers without bending, without smearing, without following the rules we thought were inviolable, are trying to tell us something. Our only job is to listen,